Protect your DNA. BioPQQ can promote formation of new mitochondria. Infowarsstore.com.
Here to examine the Oregon standoff from a different angle, renowned investigative journalist and author John Rappaport. He's the editor of NoMoreFakeNews.com. So, John, thank you so much for being with us today. Now, we know that there are so many issues swirling around what's going on there at the Malheur Wildlife Refuge with this standoff. Obviously, we've got the Bundys, the Hammonds, there's the federal land grab. In this particular instance, we have cattle ranchers who have been fed up with the abuse that they feel they're suffering with the federal government. But I wanted to get you on the show to offer a different angle into not only what could be going on here and what's really behind this particular federal land grab, but others across the country as well.
Yeah, this is the uranium story, Leanne. And it sounds improbable on the surface until you start poking down into it and you see what's really going on. Because it's understood and acknowledged, has been for some time, even in the mainstream press, that the Russians, by whom I mean Putin, have gained control over 20% of U.S. uranium production. The New York Times ran a pretty big story on this a while ago, and it surfaced and then it sank as usual without any real further investigation. But to dig into this, what we're talking about here is a company called Uranium One, which was a Canadian company. And during the time when this sale was being negotiated to Putin and Russia, this company, Uranium One, had outposts in the U.S. in uranium mines. So they were essentially bargaining to sell their company to the Russians so the Russians could in part control U.S. uranium production. And in order for that deal to be signed off on, one of the federal agencies of the United States that had to okay it, because this is national security, is the State Department, then headed up by Hillary Clinton. Step two. Step two is, during this negotiation, this period of time, some millions of dollars were coming into the Clinton Foundation from Canadian mining big shots, who obviously wanted this deal to go through and sell their company to Putin. Wait a minute, let's back off. Holy mackerel here. So the New York Times covered all of these angles. You know, they wouldn't step up to the plate and actually connect all the dots and say, you know, we're looking here at mass, deep criminality on the part of the Clintons and, you know, much more deep investigation to get courtroom evidence needs to take place. They just kind of dropped it. But as it turns out, in an article in IntelliHub by Shepard and Bellis, he links to a page, a federal page, Bureau of Land Management, that indicates that in 2011, this same company, Uranium One, met with local officials and people in Southern Oregon in the same general, or maybe even exactly specific, it's hard to tell, but definitely in the same general area as the Oregon standoff took place. And they were discussing mining, opening a yellow cake uranium mining operation in that very area where the standoff has been taking place. So all of a sudden, this is a whole different dimension on the story. And you've got a much more sinister reason for the feds to be extremely concerned about what was going on and is going on in this area, because it would not only be about all the factors you mentioned at the top here, but about uranium mining in the U.S., controlled by Russia, with the Clintons involved.
Wow, that is bombshell. And so obviously a lot of the things that we're hearing people saying is, well, that's our land and how dare they, you know, that land belongs to the American people. But here we have the BLM taking grazing rights and you having to pay off the BLM, but actually now this company working with the Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife, they made a presentation to the BLM outlining plans for the development of this mine. And so it says here, the Vail District has agreed to work with the Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife on mitigation for the New U uranium claims, which are located in core sage grouse habitat, on and on. So what are they doing? Negotiating on behalf of the American people to develop a uranium mine with the Russians?
That belongs to Russia, right? So the ultimate irony of this whole thing is that you've got these sovereign cattle ranchers and their supporters sitting there in this area saying the feds have no right to be grabbing this land in the first place. And, it's taking land away from the American people that belongs to the American people. And they could very well be talking about Russian land, right. Russian land under this uranium contract. So who knows what the projection is going to be now that there's been this tremendous uproar in this area of Southern Oregon, which is another reason why the feds would be so exercised about this, because the last thing they want is national attention drawn to this area for any reason. Because if this uranium mining operation goes forward, and everybody learns, of course, that the production is going to be, the uranium is under the control of the Russians, now you've got things blowing up everywhere.
Absolutely. And this was another issue when the Bundys were having to deal with that there in Nevada with Harry Reid. Then we learned that there was actually a solar farm that was owned by the Chinese that was being erected on all of these lands that were supposedly being cleared out to protect the desert tortoise. And so it's actually these solar farms controlled by the Chinese who are giving energy to the people there in Nevada and other states. So I don't think we, the people, are going to be getting a cut out of that and making our energy bills any lower. So how do they justify this? And of course, this gives a little bit of background when Hillary Clinton was asked about her relationship with Putin, and she just kind of laughed it off, saying it was a interesting relationship.
Yeah, I would say more than interesting, as it turns out. Well, this is a naked situation here, potentially, for the feds, because there is no explanation. I mean, how do you justify, okay, we're going to sell 20% of U.S. uranium production to Russia? That makes sense to everybody, right? No problem. I mean, as soon as the words are out of your mouth, people are just staggered. What are you talking about? Why not just deed him 20% of all nuclear power plants in the U.S. or 20% of all nuclear weapons? I mean, it's that kind of staggering story. And it was out there, and then it just disappeared, in part probably because Hillary Clinton is running for president.
Absolutely.
And the last thing that she wants is more publicity about this. Hey, your State Department, Hillary, was one of the 9 federal agencies that had to okay this deal to sell this uranium company to Russia. And money was pouring in. And by the way, the money that poured into the Clinton Foundation from Canadian mining executives during this period that I mentioned, this fact was covered up by the Clinton Foundation. You didn't see on their books that these donations were coming in. And she had supposedly made a deal with Obama saying, look, we'll mind our P's and Q's on the Clinton Foundation while I'm Secretary of State. You won't have anything to worry about vis-a-vis conflict of interest. And of course, this was all before the whole Clinton Foundation story blew up in the press. But now we've got something much deeper that has to do with the Clinton Foundation. They hid those donations from the Canadian mining people. I mean, what more do you want here? There it is.
Right. I mean, the scandal, it just is never-ending scandal, and the plot thickens there with the Clintons, the Clinton Foundation. John Rappaport, No More Fake News. Thank you so much, and obviously we will stay tuned with more of your bombshell reporting. Thank you.
Thank you, Leanne. Appreciate it.
Again, ladies and gentlemen, you can get 6 months free at prisonplanet.tv, but only for 1 more week. Next Monday, this special that only comes around once a year ends. In fact, we've never offered 6 months free before, but I really want to get more people to join and to be able to watch the nightly news, to see the live reports we do, the special reports, all my films, ebooks, and so much more. One person can share their membership with 20 people, and you are funding the absolute very leading edge, the vanguard of the resistance to the globalist operation on every front. We have to have our own platform that is harder for them to censor, harder for the system to shut down. prisonplanet.tv. We put out the daily radio show free with the video and audio feeds at Infowars.com/show. But it is the members that get the nightly news exclusively and first, and the commercial-free video podcasts and audio podcasts that are paying it forward and financing and helping so many other people see the truth when we put the videos on Facebook, YouTube, and it's prisonplanet.tv that finances so much of the cameras, the equipment, the crew, the reporters. You are becoming a prisonplanet.tv member. You get exclusive HD, higher quality, get it first, and then you can download it, share it with friends and family, share your passcode with them, your username. It's a win-win, and then you're helping finance to put it out for free to everybody. prisonplanet.tv. Clean, pure drinking water. You can't survive without it. But where do you get it? Alexa Pure Pro is a brand new, groundbreaking, gravity-fed water filtration system that is like no other. The Alexa Pure Pro transforms water from virtually any fresh source into clean, healthy drinking water. Save $20 off the retail price and get free shipping. This is a limited time offer, so order your unit today and receive free shipping and $20 off. Go to InfoWarsStore.com or call 888-253-3139.